and being in 10th position. The last of the cars that actually took part in that last session. Engines are started, the green flag is in the air. 15-minute session for GT Daytona. Lexus, Lamborghini, Audi straight out of their respective pit boxes and onto the circuit. Great to hear the engines around the circuit. And it was a Porsche, Park Place Porsche, that led them out actually. And that means that the qualifying duties for that car, of course, as we were hearing from Shea, will go to Zachary Robichon, who's pretty tidy in a Porsche.
Yeah, he certainly is. He joined last season the IMSA GT3 Cup Challenge USA for the final half of the season and won pretty much every race. I mean, he was absolutely a dominant force there, and he is just driving. He's on the crest of a wave in terms of confidence. He came in here new to this team, but not new to this Porsche 911 GT3R. He's driven the FAF Motorsports entry in the previous 3 races this season, so he's familiar with the car. New team, admittedly, but it's a pretty relaxed organisation at Park Place Motorsport in terms of the fact they don't put any pressure on him, and they're just super well organised. So he just stepped right in there. He's loving working with Patrick Long, and he's going to be, I think, the favourite. Perhaps he and Trent Hinman will be my 2 favourites to come away with a pole within the next 15 minutes.
Could not have a better afternoon. The slight bit of cloud that we had this morning.
It's Zach's birthday.
Is it? Right.
So a little bit more.
He was trying to keep that quiet.
Incentive, if you like.
The little bit of cloud that we had earlier on today has cleared, and we've got full sunshine on the track now.
Yeah, and there was some potential for perhaps a few splashes of rain within the last hour or so. That was what the forecast was saying earlier in the day.
They didn't
That's
get that
now
right,
dissipated.
did they?
They did not, thankfully. It's beautiful conditions now. It's fairly warm. It's a bit of a breeze. So you know it's going to be a challenge out there. It's going to be hard work for these guys in the next few laps around here. I think the tyres are tyre degradation is pretty minimal, so the tyres should last just fine. Just a question of burning off the fuel and building heat into those tyres, just getting the drivers properly up to speed. It's going to be fun.
Around the world in sound and vision, IMSA Radio and IMSA TV together. No blocks, no brakes, no fees. Frankie Montecalvo in the 12, bright orange and black, the Bumblebee. Lexus, as he's trying to chase down Zachary Robichon. He's got something to aim for, and that might not be the worst thing actually, as they go down the strand into the right-hander at the end, through into what is effectively the complex around the fountain area, which is 7 through to really turn 11. You can actually go straight on there and miss out a whole amount of real estate, but you'll get pinged for that.
You will get pinged for that. Frankie coming in here with some reasonably good confidence. The team won last time out, and this car was pretty quick in Townsend Bell's hands in the previous practice session, but his teammate Richard Highsand, along with Jack Hawksworth, had that fantastic win at Mid-Ohio last time out, the first win for Richard Highsand, and it was also built upon from his first pole position as well, so he's on a bit of a roll also, and he should be a contender for the top 3 or 4 positions.
At IMSA Radio, if you want to get in touch with us. And the Porsche of Zachary Robichon on 1:33.3. You're going to have to be somewhere at or under 90 seconds for GT Daytona pole, I reckon, today, Jeremy. We've seen that here in the past, and generally speaking, the cars have been quicker. There's a huge amount of Michelin rubber laid down by the number 73 Park Place car as it comes out of that centre fountain section and spinning up the back wheels. Actually, no, that was turn 6, wasn't it? He's coming up to turn 7 now. So onto the strand, but laid down a huge couple of dark rubber marks. So he's given that flat 6 as much as he can. What confidence from this young man to throw the car around. The track has rubbered up nicely. We've had a couple of IndyCar sessions, some Trans Am, and of course the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship have been out for a couple of long sessions. One this morning that was actually longer than the race will be tomorrow.
Yeah, they've certainly had plenty of practice time today. There have been a few interruptions during that session, some problems for a few of the teams, but for most of them, they've certainly got lots of information from which to draw to get ready and properly prepared for this 15-minute qualifying period. There goes Zachary to the top of the charts, a 1:31.225.
It's not quick enough.
No, he'll go faster than that. I spoke to him after the last session, and he was quickest in that FP2 with a 1:30.011. It was a qualifying simulation, so he was pushing hard, but he certainly feels there's a bit more to come here. It's really a question of how much do you want to risk.
Yeah.
Although he also said that he doesn't find this circuit, it's his first time here, he doesn't find it nearly as intimidating as the Toronto street circuit, on which he does have a reasonable amount of experience. He finds this track not quite so intimidating. That's really the word, but it certainly is a challenge.
It's not
but he does feel that there's more to come. But the qualifying lap record was set last year by Brian Sellers at a 1:28.9. Well, no one's got within a second of that yet. We'll see whether they can with 9 minutes remaining in this qualifying period.
And with 9 minutes remaining, Jeremy, I'm very unused to seeing cars pull into their pit boxes and call it. Well, it wasn't actually a situation where the Starworks team were throwing it in, because Parker Chase went out for his warm-up lap in the number 8 Audi and realized that something was wrong with the car, came into the pit lane, and the crew guys could immediately tell the right rear wheel was not secured onto the car. It had not been fastened with a wheel gun in the proper manner, and the wheel was actually loose. The crew guys put the car up on the air jacks, secured the wheel. After talking to the IMSA officials, now there's a bit of discussion going on whether or not that will result in a penalty, but that was a safety situation for Parker Chase, and very heads up of the young man to realize that the car was not well.
And what Shea is talking about there is you are not allowed to touch the car or make any adjustments during the qualifying session. So basically, pit lane, you can drive in and out of pit lane, you can sit in pit lane and let everything cool down, but pit lane is effectively parc fermé. You cannot touch the car under pain of exclusion. Now,
he's going to be lucky to get away with that one, I think.
He might get away with it because of the safety factor, and if they have asked and been told that they can do it, then that is down to the IMSA officials, who will have checked with race control and our race director. We're not going to second guess that, but that's the situation that Shea was talking about. Halfway through this session, 7.5 minutes left, 1:30.443 for Zachary Robichon and Park Place. Patrick Lindsay is here, flying a whole plane load of people to Le Mans tomorrow night for Le Mans Test Day on Sunday, as quite a few of the drivers here are taking part in Le Mans Test Day. You can hear the only live coverage from Le Sarthe on Sunday over on RS2, our sister channel, RS1, excuse me, our sister channel. This is RS2. And that's Johnny Palmer and Joe Bradley heading up our coverage at trackside at Le Mans. No other broadcaster bringing you that on Sunday, so a full weekend for you, and plenty of IMSA names will be taking part in that. And of course, that's why Ben Keating isn't here, because he's got a GT Le Mans AM car, the first of the 4 GTs into private hands in the Wins colours, and he'll be testing that car for the first time at Le Mans on Sunday. Shea Adam down in the pit lane, the number 8 car, the Starworks Audi.
I think it's going to be a little bit more severe than a penalty as far as the Starworks guys are concerned, because he went out, he did a lap, and when he came back into the pit lane, they put the car back up on the air jacks, but the crew guys went over and touched the wheel, and just by the lightest of touch, they were able to actually bounce it back and forwards. So that looks like might be a bit of broken suspension as well for the number 8 Audi. Parker Chase will be starting at the back of the field. We do have another car in the pit lane as well. That's the number 63 Scuderia, of course, Ferrari. Cooper McNeil brought it in. He's sitting in his pit box. I think he's just cooling things down to make another run, John.
Well, that car had clutch problems in the free practice 2 earlier this afternoon. They thought they fixed it, well, they hoped they fixed it. They bled the system and hoped that it would go, but when they came back out of the pit lane, we saw that car come back out of the pit lane, but it wasn't right. The car went back behind the wall and stayed there. They haven't had time, or if elected not, to change that clutch between the practice and qualifying. They're going to do that tonight after this qualifying period is done. They just bled the system again and then hoped it was going to be good enough for Cooper McNeil to run a few laps, and then that was probably going to be the end of his session, because they don't want to risk doing any more damage to that car. But he has turned a lap, but it certainly isn't going to be good enough to keep him anywhere near the front of the field. I fancy that might be the last we see of that car in this session. Meanwhile, Zachary Robichon has improved again, 1:30.023. Trent Hinman jumped up into second place with a 1:30.242 in number 86 Acura. Robbie Foley, however, has just pipped him up into second place. Robbie Foley in the Turner Motorsports BMW, that's car number 96, 1:30.218, and he has just gone purple in sector 2. The other driver who's flying at the moment is Christina Nielsen. She's super fast in car number 57 through the first sector. And Robbie Foley goes to the top. Christina Nielsen was super fast in the first sector, but she was slow in the final sector. She's currently fourth in car number 57.
1:29.8, Jeremy, and Robbie Foley's been getting closer and closer to the wall on the exit of turn 13, just off to our right. I swear he white-walled the tyre. He would have if there hadn't been the logos on the wall there. 1:29.8 then, provisional pole position is now all of a tenth of a second ahead of second place. Nielsen to third. Christina Nielsen up to third place. That'll please Sarah Rigby, watching in Crewe, the home of Bentley, back in the UK, where at the moment it's 10:30 in the evening. Global audience for this qualifying session. I'm absolutely certain there'll be people at Le Mans who are tuned in as well. Hello, Risi Competizione just about to leave the track. They've just sent us a message to say they're tuned in. Hi guys, and good luck with the blue Ferrari. How very NART of you. People Durrani getting on the plane to join those guys on Sunday after the race here on Saturday afternoon. BMW, Porsche, Acura, Lexus, Lamborghini and McLaren. Your top 9 separated by pretty much spot on a second in a 90-second lap.
A good job by Compass Racing to get a McLaren 720S GT3 car back in the fray after that big crash this morning. And Matt Plum, very few laps this weekend so far, so he's just going to get quicker and quicker through this session. So very encouraging, I think, for that team and for McLaren. But meanwhile, Zachary Robichon, he turned a much slower lap last time around, maybe just cooling off those Michelin tyres, 1:35, so 5 seconds away from his best time. And he's now going to see if he can jump his way back to the front, but we're less now than 3 minutes remaining. A great lap that was for Robbie Foley, quickest so far for Turner Motorsports in the BMW. Car number 96, the only person to lap below 1 minute 30 seconds.
74 Mercedes-Benz goes through, no improvement.
Purple sector 2 for Zach Robichon.
Oh, Zachary's on a good one here. And these Michelin tyres are so good, they just keep giving grip. And all of the drivers, it could be last driver across the line gets pulled. There goes the 73 and takes it. Oh no, doesn't take it. 1:29.917. Well, very appropriate for a Porsche, but it leaves him 0.019 of a second away from pole position.
And that was all in the first sector. He lost 2/10 of a second compared to the BMW in the first sector. Did Zach Robichon?
I think he had traffic in the first sector last time around. He's got a clear track this time, Jeremy.
Monte Calvo lost time in the final.
Huge sideways slide from Frank Monte Calvo coming out of turn 3. The left-hander at the end of that short shoot after the first chicane and over the bridge in 1 and 2.
Cost him time.
That did. It looked great.
It was a good lap. The last lap was a good one. He's only a thousandth behind his teammate Richard Highstand. Those two Lexuses is 5th and 6th at the moment. The 14 car ahead of the number 12, but Frankie lost it all in that final sector. He lost about 3 or 4 tenths of a second, if not more, in that final sector last time around. That's car number 12. So Robbie Foley faster again though, 29.704 purple in sector 3 for the number 96 BMW.
So down into the last minute. Remember, if the checkered flag comes out whilst you're on a lap, you're allowed to complete that. The fight for pole position.
Better first sector for Zachary Robichon. What can he do in the final part of the lap?
He's going to get this one and one more. He goes past us now and across the line, Jeremy. 1:29.704 he's got to beat. 1:29.735. So improvements by both of the top 2 and still only 2 cars under 90 seconds. 0.031. So Zachary Robichon finds some time, but it's pretty much half as much again, the gap. All right, it's still only 0.031 of a second.
Well, and Zachary, to be fair, he hasn't really put a lap together. On that last lap, he was blue, which means personal best in the first sector and the third, but he lost a little bit of time in the middle sector, and that's where the car is really, really strong. So it's in that car. Can he pull it out of it?
Monty Calvo's
No, he's lost time again. This last time, he's not going to improve.
Really? He's catching up with the 73 Park Place
Yeah,
car.
but
That's
both,
because Robichon's
yeah,
backed out of it. There'll be nothing better than second place, and Foley's gone into the pits. So Christina Nielsen, the only driver out there who can possibly improve, and I don't think she's. Oh, well, I say that. Maybe. No, she's
first sector's way
31
down.
seconds. Yeah, she's a couple of seconds away.
Yeah.
So I
The
think
same.
as the checkered flag is out, the first car to see it will be the McLaren. That's 8th position for Matt Plum. That's a solid effort from a car that was getting repaired up until relatively recently, just on a second away on a 90-second lap.
Yeah,
So who else is still to come round? The 86. No, that car is not going to him. 29.7.
No. Middle
sector's way down. That was a shame because Trent Hinman had a decent first sector there. But he's pitted, he knows he's not going to improve. Monte Calvo goes through, 1:30.505 is his best, and he's just done a 30.9, so he doesn't improve. And I think that's all they wrote.
That's it. Great lap by Robbie Foley.
Great lap from Robbie Foley. I need, when he drives up to Shane, he'll be doing that in a moment. Shane, I need you to look at the left rear Michelin tyre and the wheel arch and the end plate on the rear wing, because he was so close to the wall. He must have been millimetre perfect. There's not a mark on it. Actually, I can see that now. There is not a mark on it.
He's driving beautifully. He's driving beautifully this year as Robbie Foley. He's 22 years of age from Randolph, New Jersey. This is his 11th start in the IMSA WeatherTech Sports Car Championship. And as Shay was saying earlier on, this is the first track he's been to for a second time, and he's certainly taking full use of that experience, plus the experience of his teammates Bill Arbelin. He's just extracted everything from this BMW. A tremendous first pole in this championship for Robbie Foley.